Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasy Points Projections live stream here at fantasypoints.com. Good to be with everybody. For those of you who are not subscribers, welcome. This is free. We just reduced our prices by half, because half the season's over. That makes sense. It's good to be with the whole staff. Tom Brawley, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, and Graham Barfield. Great to be with everybody here, and thanks for joining us all on the Fantasy Points Projection live stream. So, for those of you who are not subscribers, here's what we do. Holy shit, Scott. Bend over. Oh, my. Well, that's interesting.
Wow.
I knew I was going to get trashed.
We're sorry we lost your business. We're not going to get into that. But,
Anyway, here's what we do. We just kind of go game by game, and we talk just first takes, stats, impressions. Obviously, this is chopping the ingredients up, okay? The projections, the first run through. I put a pot of chili on today, so here's what we do. This is like the Maillard kind of step. We're going to brown the meat here. But it's got a lot of time to simmer. We got to have the news from the week. But this is what we do here, and we're just going to talk through our projections, make sure we're all on the same page with everything that's going on. So without further ado, let's kick it off with the Thursday night game, the New York Jets and the Indianapolis Colts. John, I think it goes without saying that Carson Wentz was miserable in that game on Sunday. Like,
he was what?
Miserable, terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not good, guys. And John, T.Y. Hilton's not going to play. At this point, Wentz forces the ball to Pittman. We love that for fantasy, but that was also the cause of the final interception of that game. He tried to force the ball to Pittman.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, he is getting, there's a disconnect between fantasy and reality, though, because he's been pretty good over the last 5-6 weeks, right?
Yeah. I mean,
for fantasy, he's been compiling, that's for sure.
Yeah. Pittman, 15 targets this past week. I mean, he's a must start at this point. But the problem is for anybody else on Indianapolis, who the hell do you start? T.Y. Hilton's not going to play in this game. I just have a gut feeling that after all the criticism Wentz and Reich have gotten this week, they're just going to try to run the ball with Taylor. I know he doesn't have a 20-carry game yet. This seems like it's kind of the spot where he could get 20 carries. He's had each of the last 3 weeks, his snap share has gone up.
Yeah, and he's running more routes, too. The last 3 weeks, he's ran 71 routes to Hines' 34, which is huge. I mean, last week, Hines ran a few more routes just because, they got down so quick. But, yeah, I mean, this is the role we've always wanted Taylor in, man. We've always wanted Reich to give him a bell cow role, and he's right on the cusp of it right now.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Taylor ended up being the number one power law player in fantasy, replacing Derrick Henry. He played on 74% of the snaps last week. It was the second most of his career. Most impressively, that came in a loss. His prior high in a loss was 58%. The week before, 69% of the snaps, third most of his career. That was 80% through the first 3 quarters. The week before that, another lopsided victory, 31-3, 65% of the snaps, sixth most of his career. So I think Graham hit the nail on the head. We may finally be getting bell cow Taylor. And that was always the difference between him being, a fringe round 1 pick and maybe a top 5 fantasy player overall. Or potentially even better than that. He leads all running backs in fantasy points per game since week 4. The Jets are giving up the most fantasy points per game to running backs. If you want to put him as the RB1 of the week, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think it's narrative street too, but it's a strong narrative street. I mean, like, you already have the Indianapolis media now. They're like, all right, when are they benching Wentz? How predictable was this? I mean, they're 3-5, but they've got to win. I think they're going to Taylor this week.
Yeah.
Zach
Pascal and Mo Alley-Cox are the secondary type of people, obviously. I think it's a good matchup for Mo Alley. Do we have any confidence? I know Doyle scored last week.
Oh.
It kind of reminds me of Delaney Walker. They don't go to him a lot, but when they go to him, it's for a big play or a touchdown.
Yeah, well, Alley Cox had 4 targets last week and didn't catch any of them. I mean, it's so hard to count on any of these guys. I guess
you guys got me, or?
What's that?
What the hell happened?
Uh-oh. Something's going on. Can
Hold
you guys?
on. What happened?
I don't know. I can hear you. Can you guys hear John?
See ya.
We can hear and see you.
Yeah, we
John.
can hear you, John.
We can hear and see John. All right. Well, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going, guys. With the Jets. No idea if Corey Davis is going to play. But so guess who led the Jets in routes run and snaps at wide receiver this past week?
It's our old friend.
Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims, yeah. So, yeah, I guess John was... guys, you guys were hearing that. John was on, like, some sort of delay, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
It was
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, let's... so Denzel Mims led them in snaps and routes run. Just... I don't know what else to say. I mean, in the last 2 weeks... Mike White has thrown 77 passes, and 34 of them have gone to running backs.
Yeah, and it's coincided too. I mean, Michael Carter's playing way more. He's like a PPR stud at this point, just because they have nothing else. I mean, Elijah Moore's dead. Elijah Moore's dead. Keelan Cole's dead. Denzel Mims is a field stretcher.
Well, Elijah Moore just had season highs in receptions and yards. Of course, he only ran half the routes of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was closer to Berrios in routes than Keelan Cole. So, I mean, he's their 4 at this point.
Ty Johnson's involved. Tyler Kroft, I guess, is involved down the red zone. Crowder, it's Crowder or bust for me. Like, by the way, though, I will say this. They did have a beat reporter who came out and said that they've been resisting trade offers for Denzel Mims, who obviously won't be traded now. All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the next game. The Vikings and the Ravens. I don't know how the Vikings lost that game last week.
That was brutal to watch, too. I mean, that game was so winnable for them, and they just – I don't know, man. They're such a poorly run team.
I mean, I mean, it's just that when it comes to the Vikings, I mean, you know what to do with them. There's 4 guys you play, and maybe you can mix in Conklin. The Ravens' defense has been giving up points, but I mean, what else do you say about the Vikings at this point?
The good news is they're condensed, Joe. There's all this usage is condensed. So even though
the one thing with them is what the hell has happened to Dalvin Cook in the passing game? Like, he is just non-existent as a receiver anymore. Like, his production has gone down every game in the receiving department. So, I mean, he had no catches last week. So,
yeah, I looked into that. I mean,
don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I looked into that a little bit today. He ran his normal routes. I just wonder if it's a little bit of just variance for him.
Look, 2 targets, no receptions. So 7-3-6, then 2-2 for Dalvin Cook. Oh my God, he's gone under 20 receiving yards in every game except week 1.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, that's
really that was always something we could bank on with him.
Yeah.
This is Conklin might have a little bit of life here this week. This has been the worst defense against tight ends here so far this year. So this could be a little bit of a shootout too.
Yeah, I think so. The Ravens they're coming off a bye, obviously. Lamar, Mark Andrews for sure. Vikings just got crucified by the Cowboys wide receivers, so I feel like that's good news for Hollywood and Rashad Bateman. And you would think Bateman's going to get an opportunity to ramp up even before coming off the bye. So that's what it is right here.
Yeah, I mean, he was already pretty much
the one interesting thing for them is I would think Watkins is back this week. This should be 2 games missed in the bye week here. So, I mean, he's the hamstring issues have lingered with him in the past, but you would think he would be back.
Yeah, it was a well-timed.
I just don't know how they're going to rotate, Bateman, Watkins. I think Marquise is probably safe, probably going to run a lot more routes. He was running a lot more routes than Bateman the last 2 weeks, but just adding another body in here.
I don't know, Tom. Anytime Sammy Watkins gets hurt, this usually turns into a multi-week thing.
I did add, like a normal recovery, he should be back this week, but Sammy Watkins usually like double it. So,
anything else for Baltimore? These are two super narrow fantasy teams. I guess Baltimore's backfield.
Yeah, I was going to mention Latavius. We'll have to see what Latavius does in practice this week. I mean, last week, even with Latavius out, they went full rotation. Yeah. Even though I think we all agree Devonta Freeman looks like their best back right now.
Yeah, they got their asses whipped, though, so they couldn't really –
yeah.
I mean, I guess it was close in the first half. It was only 13-10 at halftime. As a matter of fact, they took a lead in the third quarter. So.
Yeah, that game was close until the fourth quarter.
That score was very deceptive.
Right.
It was 41-17, but they were going for a lot of fourth downs in their own territory and not converting, and that score was a lot more lopsided than that.
Yeah, they actually took a lead in the third quarter. So, all right. They Lamar was their whole run game, though, which is, going back to the old times there. But I agree. Devonta Freeman looks like their best. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if like one of these guys is like a surprise inactive this week. Like, Tyson Williams was a surprise inactive early in the season. I mean, Le'Veon Bell touched the ball 6 times and gained 4 yards.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. Hopefully it's Bell.
God, he looked awful. All right, let's go to the next game. I think John's like working through his getting back on here. The Patriots and the Panthers. I guess there's a chance McCaffrey plays this week, guys. A chance. They didn't sound like overly confident.
Yeah, Rule was basically like, we don't really know. And he kind of made a gesture that it could be week 10. So I don't know. They're going to get him back in practice tomorrow, apparently, but I'm not super confident about it.
Yeah. I guess that'll be another thing for Chuba Hubbard. Robbie Anderson, guys, had his best game of the year this past week. He was targeted once and didn't catch it. So, the fact that he only got targeted once is probably the best thing for him. He is a disaster right now.
You can't drop passes if you're not getting them thrown to you there. Yeah. That's one positive.
Here's the other part too, though, guys. If it is another week at Chuba, and welcome back, John. Can you hear us now?
Oh shit! You got me. Oh.
Yeah, there you are. All right, and now
I literally just told Ben forget it, but never mind.
You're back, and now you are not delayed either. You there was very clearly a lag that is not there.
So you're hearing me out of this mic, right?
Yes, that's right.
You sound good now.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
well, it didn't pick up my
were...
camera, so you got my shitty whatever, but no one cares.
You were sounding a little tinny earlier. You were like Jon Stewart on the Manning cast, who's shouting into a laptop in a room that didn't have any carpet.
That's one thing they gotta fix that on the Manning cast. All these guys are talking all over each other, unless they're like pros, like Breeze and Irvin. Like those guys aren't talking over each other. They get Jon Stewart on there, and it's just like a freaking mess.
It's funny you say that. I was on the plane today, and I saw a video. It was like Seth Meyers interviewing somebody big, and it's from Zoom, and neither one of them has a microphone. I'm like, really? It's like a broadcast show, and you're using your freaking MacBook internal speakers for a microphone. Anyway.
Yeah, so we're at Carolina now and New England, John. We just talked Vikings and Ravens, which is nothing important. But John
doesn't want to talk about the Vikings right now.
You think I give a shit, Tom? I gave up so long ago, man. I really did. It's just, at this point, it's almost just comical.
Well, I had this conversation with Paul on the game day show, and I want to move quicker because Graham's got to go at 9:15. But I had this. The Vikings have been relevant my entire life. It's not like they're an irrelevant franchise. It's just that everything ends in pain somehow for them.
Every time a Minnesota Viking is on the precipice of doing something special, it pops into their head, "Oh, that's right, I play for the Vikings." Oh. And then they die. That's what happens. So they need like a GOAT. Like they need like Russell Wilson. They need Brady. Kirk Cousins is great, but zero chance of winning a Super Bowl. Zero. Like literally zero.
I mean, it's just like he's one of those guys who just like 13 games out of the year he's top 10. And then there's like 4 games where he's like apocalyptically bad. And
Now Cook, I thought Cook looked pretty good this week.
Yeah, but he hasn't been catching the balls, we've said, which is weird.
Yeah. It's very strange. I know Darisaw's doing well at left tackle, pretty well.
Yeah, they were talking him up on the
broadcast
there.
John, you were AWOL when we mentioned one key note for the Jets. They don't know if Corey Davis is going to play this week. He's got the hip injury. Yeah. John, do you know who led them in routes run this week? The Jets?
I would probably Elijah Moore.
Denzel Mims.
Oh, was it Mims?
Elijah Moore was actually fourth, John.
Yeah, Denzel and Brian Costello came out today and said that they resisted overtures. So get them.
Well, that they could also be dumb. That doesn't necessarily mean that they've got like these grand plans for him, this year.
Yeah.
I'm planning. I'm going to go back and watch that game tomorrow. But I mean, Moore did catch all 6 of the targets. Was that late in garbage time?
Yeah, I mean, he caught he's got talent. I mean, I just think, and also they threw the ball so much these last 2 weeks with White in there that we have to recalibrate. But
he played 36% of the snaps, and that just keeps trending down.
Yeah, I that game got away from me. I don't even know when it was, early or late, but it got away from me, and I was going to go back and watch it because they're on Thursday, of course.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I think Mike White. I mean, I know Jets fans won't want to hear this, but Mike White, man, is like significantly better than Zach Wilson. I'm trying to put this lightly, but like. It's night and day with this offense right now. I mean,
Are they calling him Mike White? White Mike yet?
It should be.
You know what that is, right?
What's that? White
Mike? That was the character on The Wire.
He's like a white Michael Jordan.
White Mike, man.
That's not ringing any bells, and I love the one.
Yeah, I love it.
Google it. I mean, he may not have been a big character, but
Patriots and the Panthers. Back to the Patriots and the Panthers. I mean, at this point, you can't play anybody but DJ Moore and Hubbard in Carolina unless McCaffrey comes back, and then in which case it's DJ Moore and McCaffrey. I don't think there's anything else to say there. Robbie Anderson is just useless right now.
I'm wondering now, does Terrence Marshall get a chance?
Yeah,
he just paid Robbie.
Yeah, he's still in concussion protocol, and he hasn't seemed close to playing.
Is Darnold in the protocol?
He should be.
I would think.
Yeah,
he left the game.
Yeah, he has to.
Unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen an offense come out that hot and just die.
Well, John, I mean, it was all schedule based. I mean, you get the Jets, Saints, Texans, and Cowboys. I mean, Saints are good defense, but they didn't have Lattimore in that game, I don't believe. So
yeah, but I mean, you do well 4 weeks in a row against NFL defenses. They are in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, for it to go this sour is ridiculous.
It really could just be like a mental thing with Darnold, who sees ghosts more often than the kid from Sixth Sense, and he got out. He's like, hey, maybe I'm good, and then faced that tough Raiders pass rush, and he's like, oh no, never mind, I stink.
Yeah, I think it's more. Yeah, the mental thing is like he probably knows he stinks. That's probably we've seen plenty of evidence for Darnold. I mean, this guy's terrible.
It's also not driving nuts. Hubbard, 1 week Hubbard looks good, next week he doesn't, then he looks good, then he doesn't.
He's just a jag.
He's a jag.
I called him a jag coming out of college, and he's still a jag. Yeah. It's also, Scott, to your point, it's also like not super inspiring that your coaching staff comes out and runs the ball 47 times against the Falcons, man. I mean, they don't trust him to drop back and do normal quarterback stuff.
Yeah.
And why should
and Hubbard, you know what, like, I mean, when and by the way, when I say jag, I mean, I don't think he's very good, but certainly if he's getting carries, he's good enough. Like, I just feel like there's probably 10 Chuba Hubbards in the league, 20 Chuba Hubbards, but, those are the type of guys who can win you. But one thing that just stinks in the passing game. He drops passes, and
Yeah, I was
John,
gonna
they were
say,
using
that's the one note I
Abdullah.
would say. Amir Abdullah, he literally, they picked him up off the street and ran the most routes out of that
Such
backfield.
Unbelievable.
So,
Such a bad look.
And he freaking got 8 carries.
Yeah, and he looked good, by the way.
Yeah.
New England, I hate this team. Don't hate Dame Harris, who's awesome, but
We love the Dame.
yeah.
Love the
Jacoby Myers gets his 8 and 9 targets every week, gets his 35 to 50 yards and 0 touchdowns.
The worst is Kendrick Bourne because he's good.
Oh yeah, remove. Did he get popped? Did he get hurt?
I didn't see that.
I haven't seen anything on that.
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm just seeing something, or another generic receiver who I saw get hurt. Aguilar, yeah. I mean, good luck with him every week. I mean, the Patriots.
That was the easiest call in the history of fantasy offseason analysis, by the way. Aguilar, dream season for the Raiders, Patriots, forget it.
I mean, he is the one guy the Eagles got the great year out of and let him go, and it's thanks for the great year and the Super Bowl year, guys, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Real quick on their tight ends, I kind of thought Jonnu might miss, but he ended up playing 60% of the snaps.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry only got 3 targets. So, I mean, that tight end, that touchdown well dried up real quick here. That was a great spot, too. The Chargers have been really bad against tight ends, right up there with the Ravens.
Oh, I know. And then Hunter Henry made that big play, and I'm like, here we go.
And then they didn't go to him again.
He had the revenge onside kick game-ending recovery. That's what he had.
He got him out.
Mac Jones is one of those enemies who actually throws to the open guy and doesn't look for anyone in particular. I just wonder.
He also wasn't particularly sharp in that game, John.
Yeah, he's not.
I just wanted to say Jacoby Myers just had the worst possible matchup against Chris Harris Jr. in the slot, but this is going to be his 5th consecutive game against the Panthers this week. 5th consecutive game against a defense ranking top 10 against slot wide receivers. So it's another tough matchup, and it's been a bunch of tough matchups. Because before that, he had 8 for 70, 9 for 94.
Yeah. That's a good point there, Scott. And you would think, I mean, John, Stephon Gilmore came back last week.
Yep.
And he shadowed Kyle Pitts in a limited role. He only played a limited role.
Did he, though? Because I looked at this. Stephon Gilmore only played 17 snaps.
Yeah, but when he was out there, Kyle Pitts was a key matchup for him. I think he shadowed him 7 on basically half his run.
That and the Falcons ran 50 plays, so that was.
But his interception came when Ryan was targeting Pitts. So it's a Stephon Gilmore revenge game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I doubt he's going to shadow somebody. I mean, I can't imagine. But maybe Aguilar if they choose that.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The Browns and the Bengals. Odell Beckham is deader than dead.
Oh God, they're so bad. God, is it the war? They got all 3 tight ends involved this week.
Oh, they're the worst.
Nightmare.
And which tight end are you? Hooper gets 6 targets last week, and Njoku's going to get 6 this week. I mean, I don't know what to say. At least Jarvis Landry gives us somebody we can project with some level of confidence in that passing game.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Baker is less than useless for fantasy.
Did you guys see Odell's dad putting out a mixtape of all the missed throws that Baker made, and then LeBron lobbying for Odell to be traded today?
Well, this reminds me, Tom, you're going to like this. This reminds me of the Raylan Givens quote from Justified. If you run into an asshole in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day, you're the asshole.
You're the asshole.
Odell Beckham, you're the asshole. I mean, what other proof do we need here? I mean,
what's the point of that? You're just keeping company with assholes?
Yeah.
Is that the point of that quote, Joe?
Well, no, if you think everybody's an asshole, you're the asshole.
Yes.
Oh,
That's the point of that. So, like, for instance, if you go to get coffee in the morning and some guy runs you over to get to the counter, you ran into an asshole. But if you think everybody you encounter throughout the day is an asshole, then you're probably an asshole.
That makes sense.
Odell Beckham, you're the asshole.
I love my favorite now is the free insert name. Free this guy. I remember a decade ago, I did it myself with Mark Ingram. First couple years on the Saints, I was like #free Mark Ingram. But when you get the free, but the guy stinks.
Yeah.
John,
there was like a cabal of like internet hussies who had free Jahar, who was the Boston Marathon bomber. They'll have free anything these days. There was the South Park episode Free Hat.
I think Odell could still make plays.
Yeah,
but the days of relying on him every week have been over.
They clearly tried to trade him away, but he has such a big cap number, they couldn't do it.
And he's got a bum shoulder. What team's going to give them any? They're like, if you're going to give us a 6, we'll just hold on to him.
Yeah,
he'll be gone next year though.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Chubb was back, but of course, D'Ernest vultured him.
I feel like that could change any minute. Like Chubb's usage in the passing game, they kind of floated that around last year. It kind of shifted. One or two times in season where he wasn't getting catches and then he was, I don't know.
That's right. Also, when Kareem Hunt was suspended, Chubb was seeing decent target volume, like 80% of the snaps. So, maybe they just took it easy on him in his first game back, and he's goes back to that role this week, but who knows?
Yeah, he still got 13 routes. Deontay Johnson got 12, so if you want to make a bull case argument based on that, I think it makes sense.
All right.
I put him. I'll trade for him. This is a good trade for guy. There's not many left at running back.
No, it's a disaster. Broncos and the Cowboys. The Broncos made like 4 trades on the deadline, and none of them involved getting Melvin Gordon the hell out of town, which really pisses me off. I will just say this: if they have any doubts whatsoever about Dak Prescott and they play him, it is organizational malpractice.
Well, I think, we saw Cooper Rush just kind of facilitate the offense. They did a lot of design shit to, Lamb and Cooper, just easy progression, get the ball out. And, against this Broncos defense that's been, I think underwhelming to say the least. And Von Miller, why not just play Rush again? Seriously, why not just play Rush again? The other thing, too, is, Cowboys have 6 wins. Nobody in the NFC East is going to threaten them. They need, 3 more wins, and they're already walking in with the NFC East. And, then they're just playing for a bye. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they sat Dak again, but he's supposed to practice on Thursday. So we'll
Vegas is very confident in them, which makes me think they're very confident in Dak playing. I think they have the third highest implied point total of the week, 10-point favorites.
I think he was very close this week.
Yeah. I'm sure, John. I'm sure he could have played. All I'm saying is, if he's even 85, 90%, and he comes back and gets hurt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking he was 90% last week.
Well, Tafoya, I don't know if she was supposed to say this, but maybe she was. She said during halftime, Tafoya was like, the Cowboys internally thought this was a 4-week injury, and we're now in week 3 of it. So, technically, he should be able to play this week, but I do think that some of the cautiousness was just, they weren't coming out and saying, hey, Dak's not playing.
Yeah, it's and I would actually be more confident he's playing this week if they lost last week, which they should have, but Minnesota took a big dump on national television. But yeah, Cooper and Lamb are finally getting going, but of course now Gallup could be back this week, and
he should be back this week, I think.
Yeah, he should be. I think he was practicing this week, so.
Everyone will get all excited about the 3 wide receivers, and Dalton Schultz will catch 9 balls.
He did get 7 targets, so
I hope you're going for the reverse jinx there, John.
No, it's unbelievable, but it's like every week I just feel like Dak is taking what the defense is giving him, and they're giving him Schultz.
Yeah,
maybe I'm underselling Schultz. I know he does look good. He runs well. Yeah, I mean,
he's really good after the catch. Schultz is really good after the catch.
All right. The Broncos. I mean, they came back. Of course, Judy's back. Cortland Sutton had been playing pretty good, and Tim Patrick leads them in routes run.
Yeah, another terrible situation. There's so many guys now, and so little production.
Yeah, here's the unfortunate thing here, John. Teddy's looks like Teddy again, and it's just not good. It's just, you know.
He must not be healthy, man.
I mean, you want to know the actual answer is he's Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, you guys know me. I've always said he stunk, but I thought he played a little bit better last year. And early this year, I don't know.
It's just like even he was putting up numbers even without Judy, and then he comes back and and Albert O nuked Noah Fant.
Yeah,
they loved Albert O.
Yeah, 4 games that Fant and Albert O have played in this year. Fant's been at a 70% route share, and without Albert O, it was like 85. 90%, which is like elite for a tight end. So he's going to be very volatile moving forward here.
I mean, most of his big games were in garbage time.
That 9-catch game, it was like 6 catches of that. I think was in the third, fourth quarter there.
They do have some bad matchups upcoming. I was just looking long term, but I mean, it's no doubt it's a problem though. You can't really trust him. I mean, who wants to regularly start a guy who could catch 2 balls for 9 yards? I mean, any given week.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Fant getting part-time usage because Alberto is really good. I mean, it just takes another tight end out of the pool. It drops him down to there's like 17 guys now that you're just praying for a touchdown, and I think Fant's probably in that category. One note I was going to make on Judy, he did not play a full snap share this past week, but he did run like pretty much all of his routes from the slot. So I'm hoping they get him a little more outside burn, but Judy playing in the slot long term, like full time, is going to be great for fantasy.
Yeah, I think we all got a little too excited last week and didn't have.
I actually, Tom and I were actually pretty conservative on him in the live stream, Tom.
Yeah,
but I think we'll ramp it up this week with our.
It was the matchup. That's what did it. The matchup. Was they were getting
Patrick ran the most routes. They were kind of easing him in, seeing how he would respond. With it coming on, that's a 6-week layoff.
Yeah, the best news is that he didn't have any setbacks, especially after he was sore in practice on Friday. So
yeah,
I love that.
Bills and the Jags. By the way, John, I mean the Broncos' backfield's the same as ever was. Unfortunately, Melvin Gordon didn't get traded.
Yeah.
Bills and the Jags, John. I mean. I'll be honest, you nailed it with Chenault. There is just something that's not there with that guy. I mean, they literally have a converted cornerback leading them in routes and targets. I mean, that's what it is right now.
Yeah, he's one of the worst. He's one of the worst receivers I've ever seen. Honestly, he really is. He's awful. He's absolutely awful. Like I never understood why. I was intrigued with him last year, I think, but I'm like, yeah, he's just dead. I mean, obviously the coaches are telling us that they don't value what he does best, I guess, right? Like,
well, I mean, Herb is obsessed with speed, and I don't really think that's his game. He's more of a physical after the catch. Missed tackles for his guys.
Use him like Cordero Patterson.
Well, that's what I said on TV. I said, don't worry about it. In 6 years, Arthur Smith will bring him in and make him the new Derrick Henry.
It's just Edwin did not seem very concerned about James Robinson, John. They don't seem very concerned, but I guess it's possible he could miss a week here.
That was such a friggin' buzzkill, too.
He was going to go for 100 in that game.
God, he was going to lose his mind in that game. He had like 40 yards from scrimmage on 8 snaps.
He's like legit, probably the best running back in the league that no one's talking about this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason is because he's on the Jags, but it's kind of amazing what that guy's done, while being part of 2 wins in his NFL career.
So competitive, man. Every snap, he gets every inch on the field.
Did you guys see Lawrence with a fucking laser over the middle of the field that Marv Jones dropped?
Yeah. Was that in the end zone?
I don't think it was, no.
I thought it was at midfield.
I mean, Lawrence, Joe, has like 5 or 6 throws a week where you're just like, Holy shit.
And yeah, there's still some where you're like, oh, that was dumb, but then you're like, oh, he's a rookie on a shitty team.
Yeah, he's a rookie with Urban Myers as head coach. Like, I'm going to cut him some big slack here.
Dan Arnold, John, I mean, I might rather play him than Fan at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got on Arnold a couple weeks ago, and then it kind of was quiet. But what do we think about Marvin Jones? I think I'm worried now.
He's like a wide receiver 5, and he's one of those guys who I think you're doomed to get wrong every time you play him. I mean,
yep.
Yeah.
And he's got a terrible matchup this week against the Bills, so no thanks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Jags are only implied to score 17 points this week. That's, I think, the second or third lowest. I don't know how it's not 15. It might sneak that way. I mean, they are going to get curb stomped here.
The Bills are, Manny Sanders, what a buzzkill that was last week. I mean, 0 catches on 4 targets.
It just was a Cole Beasley game, and then they got Gabe Davis a little involved, and I think Dawson Knox has a chance to return this week.
Yeah, they made it seem like it could be a multi-week thing.
I was gonna say I could see them holding them out against it's a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweeney was fine. I mean, they just kind of did their normal shit where they had their 11.
Peaky Blinders.
I think there might be a chance, but yeah, it's whatever.
I love that
one. Singletary and Moss were back to some sort of shit rotation, although Moss got more work in the passing game, which is what you like to see, so he's definitely the better guy.
I mean, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason with how they use them guys in the running game.
I think they literally rotate series, and whoever is in the series that lasts the longest gets the most snaps and gets the routes. I mean, at least that's the way they did it against the Titans. They literally rotated every drive in that game. So
I would say Moss.
Go ahead, Graham.
I was just going to say, I will say Moss is their clear goal line guy. Like they've made that a point to get him in the ball near the goal line.
He's also, apparently he's also their premier pass catching back.
Yeah. So yeah, he's the better guy, but once again, it's just a team that there's really not a commitment to the backfield. I mean, there's
not a commitment to one guy, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually running it more than I thought they would this year, but there's still not that commitment to a guy. Texans, oh my fucking god, Texans and the Dolphins. Oh man,
it's a fun game.
Yeah, I mean.
Two teams on 7-game losing streaks.
Rex Burkhead will hold RB2 value for 2.5 weeks, and then he'll go on IR.
David Johnson.
Scotty Phillips. Kaplan picked up Scotty Phillips in the ACI, and like the whole league was going, "What's going on? Kaplan knows something."
Why?
He
hadn't played all year
because it's a skank league and there's absolute trash on the waiver line.
Scotty Phillips, John, you got to get Kaplan a Scotty Phillips jersey for. You got to do it.
I'm gonna tell him
right after you get him a Dorn Dickerson jersey.
The Texans are gonna see that one Scotty Phillips jersey sale and be like,
well, John McClain did tell me that they wanted he personally would like to see them get a look at Scotty Phillips.
Yeah.
There you go. They did.
Yeah.
Tyrod, I guess, could be back this week. Brawley was so sick of it because he gave out the Brandon Cooks under.
I thought about that one too. I got waxed this week.
I wasn't as sick as anybody that like.
Tom froze.
Like the worst backdoor we'll see all year.
Yeah. The Rams. Oh god, that was if you bet the Rams, that was terrible. The Dolphins. I mean, you know what the Texans are. If Tyrod plays, there's more. Rex Burkhead led him in snaps. Good luck with the backfield. The Dolphins. I mean, here we go. Tua, he's playing pretty good, and then they come out against a real defense, and he throws for 205 yards on 39 pass attempts.
Yep.
Man, they're a mess.
Yeah.
When we learn, if you have 2 offensive coordinators, you have none.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I still don't really get that.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't want to name anyone in terms of, oh, this guy does this, just so they couldn't blame anyone. It's like,
Well, it's Tua. It's Tua the rest of the way. We know that. Whatever. I mean, Devontae Parker comes back and gets 11 targets. That's good for him. Probably a little bit of a slight downgrade to Gesicki, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gesicki's target share with Parker is 15.8%. Without Parker, it's like 20%. So it's definitely a downgrade.
I mean, it's a good matchup for Tua if you need him.
I mean, it seems like Tua definitely makes it a point to get the ball to Parker, and he does that with Gesicki at times, but not as much as Parker.
Yeah. Bills have been really good against tight ends this year, for what it's worth. Like, really good.
Okay. So, I mean, I still think Gesicki's probably a tight end 1.
Yeah. And this is obviously a freaking great matchup.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yep.
Falcons in the same.
Yeah, Gaskin didn't really get a bump either. They were playing Laird. He was
Patrick Laird's back, baby.
Snaps, so.
Laird.
Yeah, he's back. So they're committed to the committee.
Yeah, Gaskin's dead. I mean, I guess you can start him, and he got you like 8.5, which is whatever. But man, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision a whole lot this year. The Falcons and the Saints, John, I would not be surprised if the Saints matched up Lattimore on Pitts.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Graham, you said it. Pitts is essentially a wide receiver right now.
Yeah, and that was the 2 games that Ridley's missed. I mean, he's basically run like no routes, like as an inline tight end. He's strictly slot and out wide, which is interesting because they're playing Hurst kind of just in that traditional inline role. It's given them some more versatility. Patterson's running wide receiver routes now too, so it didn't matter last week. I mean, their offense sucked, but yeah, Pitts is a cheat code the rest of the way.
To back up on Tyrod real quick, if he starts, I mean, it's a good play. I mean, Miami's defense is brutal.
I mean, Miami's brutal up and down the board, John.
I mean, they're brutal.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
I mean, I got Tyrod at 17 right here.
Yeah, Jake has him in the streamer article. I mean, yeah. All right. The Falcons and the Saints. I mean, the Saints. Well, I mean, I don't know how much we can say about the Saints right now. We don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for them because Taysom's still in the protocol.
Yeah.
So Mikey Simeon. I mean, might be Phillip Rivers.
I think they have confidence that Simeon can just run the offense.
Yeah, he didn't look bad last week. I mean, he quarterbacked him to a win. I mean, let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about Taysom whenever he comes back. I just think he's like a mid QB1 here on out. Konami code, the end.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like Tom and I talked about it on the podcast today is like, you could stream quarterbacks, but like he's actually he could be a fantasy game changer.
He's basically Jalen Hurts. Like he is Saints Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Right.
He's potentially bad news for Alvin Kamara. Everyone knows the splits. He really locked in to Michael Thomas though, so maybe that's good for him when he comes back.
See, Scott, I thought the same thing because that's been the narrative, right? I looked into that today. So Taysom got 4 starts last year. The first 2 games that Taysom started, they freaking blew out the Falcons. It was 55-12. That third game, they played the Falcons again. Saints built an early lead, and they just didn't really have to do that much. Then they played the Eagles. In that fourth game, the Eagles got up early, like 3-4 scores. And then Hill had to chuck it like 40 times, and that's when Kamara got 10 targets. So I do think it's just like some small sample stuff going on.
Don't forget, in that sample, they had the Kendall Hinton game for Denver, too.
Right.
That is right. Yeah, that Denver game was.
They didn't have to throw the ball in that game.
Yeah. They actually had to run 72 plays against the Bucs this past week, that is not the way they've been playing this year.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Falcons. I mean, Russell Gage doesn't get targeted when Calvin Ridley is a surprise inactive. I mean, come on.
I mean, that was ridiculous.
Tajay Sharp, Scott said, let's get him a bump, and there he is. 5 for 58, Tajay
Sharp Whisperer.
Yeah, I mean, Patterson's the same guy every week. I mean, what were his routes like, Graham? Did you see that this week?
They actually cut him a little bit. Early in that game, they tried to, for whatever reason, get Mike Davis a shit ton of carries, and lo and behold, it didn't work. That's why they got in a hole. But no, they played CPAT in pretty much his normal role. He got a little bit of reduction, but I think that's strictly because they couldn't really move the ball all that well in that game.
The Raiders and the Giants. The Raiders, I mean, we're going to have to wait a little bit. I mean, obviously, Ruggs is not going to play, maybe ever again. Josh Jacobs got dinged up in that game against Philadelphia. They didn't have Waller. I mean, it's a really too early to tell situation for the Raiders here.
Well, Hunter Renfrow is going to freaking eat for the rest of the season.
I wonder if they give John Brown a call here.
I mean, John Brown keeps getting cut, though.
Yeah. What about Deshaun Jackson?
Yeah, or Djax. Djax.
Well, but keep in mind, they love Zay Jones. They freaking love Zay Jones. Like Derek Carr. I mean, I feel like that guy can line up anywhere, right?
Yeah,
maybe.
They love him. I can tell. Kaplan's been telling me that for 2 years, and I heard Derek Carr about 2-3 weeks ago just freaking waxing poetic about Zay Jones. So I mean, he's got to get away. But I mean, Brian Edwards. I like, if I'm them, I'm like, tell him Brian Edwards. Look, we're gonna use Hunter more. Obviously Waller, but Brian Edwards, man, it's time for you to put on the big boy pants here and be a one. You know.
I don't think Renfro's role is going to change that much. I mean, he's strictly slot.
No, but he'll get more. I just feel like he'll get more targets.
Maybe a few.
Maybe more.
They're really going to miss Ruggs, though, man. I mean, he's been really good this year, like quietly really good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's just a horrible situation. I mean, just sickening. The Drake, John, has looked good under the new coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. So who knows what's going to go on with Jacobs, but
well, you know, we know that they soured on the Drake because he was bouncing runs outside. So, you know, didn't he get like 5 carries in the first game, something like that? I mean, I would imagine he'll be still receiving mainly.
Well,
they had 14 against the Eagles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's what screwed me up. I'm like, yeah, because that flies in the face.
He got 4 in the first game, John, but he scored twice. But then he actually looked legit good, like on tape the last couple weeks.
That was when Jacobs got dinged up.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wonder if the Raiders could look at Deshaun Jackson, by the way.
Yeah.
That'd
make more sense than John Brown. So
yeah, that would.
The Giants, they are. I mean, they're bad, but they also just have the most unbelievably shitty luck I've ever seen. Like, I mean, like Sterling Shepard, he's probably not going to play. I mean, he's got a hamstring and a quad now. Tony, Edwin said it looked like a thumb thing, but who knows how they're going to evaluate him.
Tony said his thumb got stepped on. So the epitome of bad luck. Like he apparently like had his, I don't know, he got a cut on his thumb or something like that.
Yeah, but they, I mean, you can't say they were easing him in because they had him in freaking punt return duties.
Yeah.
Well, it was so weird, John, in that game. So Kadarius came out first drive. He played with Shepard, and then they started rotating. They started getting like Pettis in there, and then Pettis got hurt. So they brought Tony back out. I don't know what their plan was with Tony last night. It was bizarre. I mean,
these guys are dumb. Garrett's terrible. I mean, they're awful.
Did you guys see Peyton and Eli's thing last night? Peyton was like incredulous with the play calling last night. It was honestly hilarious.
By the way,
some of it.
If you want to know why fantasy football sucks sometimes, my wife went into last night's game in a PPR with a 10-point lead with Travis Kelce going up against Devontae Booker.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, oh, you've got this. Yeah. What a disaster. I guess Barkley could play this week. As a matter of fact, I think they're expecting him to.
Yep.
But we'll see.
How many more weeks for Andrew Thomas?
I don't know. A couple more?
Can't be.
They IR'd him. Let me see if I can find what.
He was so damn good, man.
He seemed like he turned a corner, that's for sure. They IR'd him on the 19th, so he will have another week plus the 21-day activation period. So he's probably got maybe at least another week.
I tried to study him as much as I could, and he looked like the best left tackle in football from what I saw.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that they said that he's dealing with like multiple things. It's not just like an ankle injury. He's got like a foot problem too. So we'll have to see on that.
Jesus.
The Chargers and the Eagles. You would have to think the Eagles are going to run the football again this week. The Chargers have a terrible run defense. And Boston Scott and Jordan Howard are their early down guys.
Yeah, man. Not only was it not a role change for Gainwell, like he didn't play. Like he got
it was a demotion.
He got one touch in the first 3 quarters. One.
Yeah. I don't know what he did. I mean,
that makes no sense.
He's not good. He's never been good. Like they just needed him in a change of pace role. Like he's not an early down runner. He's too small to be an early down runner, and he's not explosive enough, in my opinion, to be a good change of pace back as a receiving back.
He's a really good receiver, and they didn't have to throw the football either. I mean, they threw Jalen Hurts threw 14 passes in that game.
I don't think Boston Scott's any worse of a receiver than Gainwell.
44-6.
Yeah, I mean Boston did look good running it.
He's one of those guys.
Scott plays, he looks good.
He always looks pretty good when he plays. He's just one of those guys that like teams like look to replace him, and then when he comes in, he's like, all right, that guy actually looks pretty good. Jordan Howard looked good. You know, so I mean, it was the Lions, but like you have to imagine they're going to do the same thing against the Chargers.
Yeah,
this is a get right spot for Justin Herbert, by the way. I know he struggled the last couple weeks, and I saw Ben Fennell, John, our boy Ben Fennell, basically saying he thinks Herbert they're playing too much hero ball with him.
In terms of what is hero ball?
Either like the play calling is, oh, Justin, go make a play, or he's mentally playing too much hero ball.
So hero ball would be like Russell Wilson, right?
Well, mostly Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz. Patrick Mahomes on the good end, maybe before this year, and Carson Wentz on the bad end.
Well, the original hero baller who's still in the league is Jameis Winston. Is that similar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just like, I think it's mostly just like, fuck it, I can throw the ball over them mountains, and I'm going to do it.
Jameis wasn't hero ball. He was YOLO ball.
Yeah, YOLO.
You should call that Rico ball. Rico ball.
Yeah, like, so yeah, I guess, I mean, the Chargers are the Chargers. Shouts to everybody who pointed out that was a great matchup for Keenan Allen. Yeah. Mike Williams might not be right, though.
He got his normal role, Joe.
Okay. Well, they do. I mean, the Patriots, with Jonathan Jones out for the season, they're easier to beat on the inside than the outside.
Yeah.
So.
I just think Belichick and the Patriots just got him.
Mm-hmm. I need to rewatch that game. I honestly don't know.
Don, I wouldn't be shocked, though, if the Eagles shadowed Williams with Darius Slay. They've been playing more man here.
Mm-hmm.
And Slay's had a good year.
Oh, yeah. He's had a great year.
It's just like, when against the Raiders, they're just like, well, we're not going to give up any deep completions, but they just gave up everything underneath.
And then Avonte Maddox has been pretty good inside, but that's...
He has been. He's been good.
Yeah.
It's just like their defensive scheme has been less than the sum of the parts is the problem. But, yeah, he's been pretty good. And then, obviously, Eckler's fine, so I don't think we have to worry about him.
Well, yeah, it just stinks because normally with the Eagle matchup, you look at, run the ball, but, I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
Everyone's starting. You can't find a fantasy guy to start. Everyone's starting Eckler anyway.
Well, here's the other thing. Heading into the bye, I actually saw some Charger beat writers. Ooh, Donald Parham, his role's he doesn't even get a target.
Yep.
I mean, just so Jared Cook's still the guy there, but that's kind of frustrating. They're like a 4-man fantasy team. Allen, Williams, Eckler, and Herbert. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. That's it. There's literally no one else you can consider. Literally no one else.
Besides Cook, maybe in a deep league.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe.
I was going to mention just real quick on Goddard. His role has been, I mean, I know that, Joe, you mentioned they didn't have to throw this past week just as the nature of the game, but his role has been awesome, and Chargers have been smoked by tight ends this year. So this is a ceiling spot for Goddard here.
Oh, yeah. He's a top guy for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's excellent, yeah. And he was, I mean, like, John, he was targeted on half of Hurts's throws.
Yeah.
Now, it was only 14 throws, but...
He got
By
6.
the way, I'm taking the L on Devontae Smith. Taking the L.
Well,
for the
John,
year.
I mean, Yeah, it's his rookie year. Hurts has struggled, and in that game, they did what they should have done. They came out running the football, and they didn't stop. And why would they have stopped? I mean, I knew I had a good I had a good DFS week, but when I saw those first 2 drives, I knew Hurts was going to hurt me because at minimum, the fact that he didn't get a rushing touchdown was a really killer.
Yeah. Really good year for like those kind of early to mid round receivers, really good. But Devontae, that's a loss, man.
Yeah, I'll just say I wouldn't take L's on rookie wide receivers halfway through the season. Historically speaking, rookie wide receivers see a 50% jump in targets and a 50% jump in fantasy production. So in the second half, in contrast to the first half, so it's not unusual for these guys to get off to slow starts. Jamar Chase just, of course, makes everyone else look bad.
Right, he's a historical.
And the volume's there for Smith for sure.
So Scott, Jamar Chase is going to average 55 fantasy points now?
No, it doesn't work like that. But also, like, keep an eye on guys like a Josh Palmer or whatever, and see, if 1 week they randomly get 7 targets and then 7 the next, that might be, or Rondale Moore getting a full-time workload. Wouldn't that be nice? So just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I don't have confidence in the Eagles at all right now. And Hurts,
I don't blame you.
Yeah. A good example, I thought it was like Diami Brown might have been a good example, but he's hurt. But no, I hear you on that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Packers and the Chiefs. We'll see about, obviously, Adams and Lazard this week. Of course, the Packers come out with a shell squad and beat the Cardinals. Aaron Jones played a lot of wide receiver, as Cosell said he thought he would.
Yep.
And John, I know it was iffy there for a little bit, but Kylan Hill got hurt, so it's Jones and Dillon.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised they didn't make a move for a tight end today. They're going to be playing Mercedes Lewis and ostensibly a full-time role now with Tunyon out.
Sternberger.
Oh, God, he did get cut today, John. I saw that.
He did get cut today.
He's back out there. He's back out there.
Oh,
he probably got cut because of Logan Thomas.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get Thomas back here shortly.
That's why.
So, he's not a bad guy. Maybe he's got some issues that I don't know about, but I really liked him. I thought he was really real nice guy. So he's not a bad dude by any stretch. Not an asshole. But who knows? He might be one of those mental health guys, honestly. I know he had there was some issue he had, right? DUI or something.
He got a DWI.
Yeah, he had some off the field stuff.
Yeah.
But a great kid, man. I really, really liked him. But
Let's go Braves.
No.
Yeah.
Soler just hit a 3-run home run.
so, Joe, you're actually not rooting for the Braves?
Oh, God, no.
What?
What?
You're rooting for the Astros?
Yes!
The Astros?
Come
Yes!
on.
Dude, when the Patriots beat the Giants in the Super Bowl, I rooted for the Patriots.
Oh,
All my
I understand that. Who cares about that? This is the most egregiously.
Oh, I don't care. The Braves have a racist chant. Like, what am I like? That's what am I
Oh, come on.
like? What am I,
So do the Chiefs and the Florida State.
never in my life root for the Atlanta Braves,
Oh.
unless they were playing the Mets.
This will be the weirdest champion ever. The Braves weren't even that good. And they're about ready to win the World Series. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think, John, every team just had flaws. this year, that was it.
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers and Giants beat each other to a pulp.
Yeah. Dodgers bullpen just was overused, and then, Bueller was overused, and then, now, Astros lost McCullers. Braves have been in their bullpen. They've just been relying on those lefties. But
It's funny. The Dodgers knocked the Giants out of the playoffs, yet the Giants stopped the Dodgers from winning the World Series.
yeah.
Anyway, Graham, you got to leave.
Houston is
move here.
okay.
Sorry. The Chiefs. I actually legitimately had somebody yelling at me in my mentions about Derek Gore last night, and why didn't we know about him?
Well, that
Telling you
dude.
about who? Derek Gore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
This is what's driving me nuts with the projections in the DFS, because it's every week now it's here's my point on it. okay, Derek Gore. No, I don't think anyone project. I when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, here we go. And then I thought about it. I'm like, it's fine. But these other scrubs, like, I don't know what we do because, okay, my bad. I didn't project Josiah Deguara last week. But what if I did? It would be one catch for 9 yards. Like, what do we do with that? That's really
just project 1.9 fantasy points for guys because like that's a thing. Don't beat yourself up on Gore because in 10,000 Millie Maker lineups, I think he was only on 4, so really no one saw that coming.
Yeah,
and those guys probably just put him in as a complete random.
Exactly.
They probably put him in as just like I'm going to spend money and I'll take a 0 from this one.
No, it's just
the guy, the Thursday night guy that pissed me off. That Oprah Winfrey son,
Juwan Winfrey.
I knew about him, and I forgot. And I'm like, like he didn't exist before that, right?
Yeah, no, he played a little bit, but nah, he was not a part of that offense. No, he was on the practice squad, I believe, but he had been called up before.
Yeah, I knew about him, but I was like, But again, even if I did, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Give him 4 catches? No.
Joe, to your point on Gore, I have to wonder if Reed just came out and was like, you know what, Mahomes is struggling. He's not seeing the field well. He's bailing the pocket early. Let's just come out and run the hell out of the ball. Because Gore got 16 snaps. And he got 11 carries on those snaps.
Yeah.
He looked really good.
Darryl actually ended up having a big game, which is what's funny.
Yeah, Darryl had a great game. Yeah, he had a great game. But I wonder if this is going to be a theme moving forward with Mahomes struggling so much. They just want to take some of the pressure off of him and run it a little more. And I think Gore's probably just going to supplant McKinnon if he hasn't already.
Oh, God.
Do you guys have any good takes on Kansas City's struggles? Obviously, maybe it's the Buccaneers blueprint with the defensive shells teams are employing against them, but it's just ugly.
John, you've been talking to Cosell every week about this, and
I was actually on this in the preseason. Like, I just had this weird vibe, so I was very cognizant of it. And then right after week 1, I actually said to Cosell, I know it sounds crazy after week 1, but Mike, the Chiefs need to run the ball a little bit more.
They have been even prior to this week. I mean, they had been running way more than they did the previous years.
But John,
he keeps saying their O-line is so much better blocking for the run than the pass. It does make sense. So he's seeing ghosts. He's running before he needs to. The coverage shells. Kelsey's not the same.
Kelsey and Hill are a little banged up, right? Or do we?
Yeah, Hill sure as shit didn't look like it last night.
But Kelsey looks dead.
Yeah.
Kelsey he picked up a stinger in that Bills game in week 5, and his average depth of target has fallen in almost every game so far since then. He is laboring, I think.
So, I still think it's more likely than not they figure it out, but it also feels like just random variance on the dumb shit plays that Mahomes makes is like coming home to roost.
Well, Joe, I mentioned this to you and Tom last night. He bails the pocket, a clean pocket, more than any good quarterback right now.
Yeah.
There's no pressure, and he's just bailing the pocket. Yeah. There was multiple times last night where if he would have just stayed back there, stayed calm, executed the play, it would have moved the ball much more effectively, but he's not doing that right now. It's bizarre because he's always been the guy who has the huge stones who just stands in the pocket and doesn't care if he's going to get hit. I wonder if that hit against the Titans rattled him a little bit.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say is they have the best 1-2 combo in all of football when Kelsey and Hill are healthy. It's just an unstoppable, deadly combination with Hill after the catch and the deep speed and Kelsey over the middle and his route running. And so this was always a concern. An injury to just one of those guys could really throw the entire offense off. And that might be
Mecole Hardman's not going to pick up the pace a little bit there.
Cardinals and the 49ers. Obviously, we don't know on Hopkins, but it didn't look great for him on Thursday night, but he does have the extra time.
One thing I want to say is, so Cooper Kupp, everyone knows, is the most fantasy points by any wide receiver through 8 games all time.
Yeah.
But Debo's 7th in receiving yards through 7 games since the NFL merger. He's basically 88% Cooper Kupp. and he's neglected every week for DFS, except from John, of course. But how do we think this continues to a similar degree with Kittle coming back?
Yeah, and also worth pointing out, Scott, to that point, Shanahan actually put out a blanket praise statement of Ayuk this past week.
That's right.
He said he played his best game in all facets.
Yeah.
Although he listed receiver last after run blocking and returning.
God. But Debo's also been banged up, twice now, so I wouldn't be surprised if they throttle back a little bit when Kittle returns, for sure. It'll still be good, but I don't know. I don't think this is sustainable.
Yeah, the role is just amazing, though. I mean, he's got 8 or more targets in every game. He's going to get a couple carries every once in a while. He's going to get downfield stuff.
You know what I'm reminded of? The Kyle Shanahan wide receiver 1 is a must-draft narrative, because that was a long-standing narrative. And then we really saw that with Ayuk last year with Debo hurt, Kittle hurt, and we're seeing it again this year with Debo healthy. So I'm a little optimistic with Kittle coming back.
It's like that year. Didn't Pierre Garçon catch like 100 balls?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, there was that. Julio breaking records.
Andre Johnson was a stud for all those years, too.
Pierre Garçon.
Yeah, Garcon had like...
Garçon.
That's funny you said that. That's funny you say that, Graham, because when I introduced him, he came on the radio when he was a rookie, and I took French, so I introduced him. I was like, "Bonjour, Pierre, je m'appelle Jean. Comment ça va?" And he started laughing.
Yeah, that's great.
The only NFL player I've ever interviewed who I could actually talk about playing my alma mater, because he went to D3 too.
Yeah, he went to Mount Union.
Oh,
Mount Union.
Yeah, he went to Mount Union, and they played Rowan. I learned how to say "I'm sick of this" in French, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, J'en ai marre de ça. I learned how to say it when Anthony Auclair scored a couple of weeks ago. J'en ai marre de ça. Anyway, AJ Green, Christian. I hate Christian Kirk, man. I just can't stand that guy. I know he's had objectively a pretty good season, but you talk about a guy you're bound to get wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have had a 50-yard catch in the game too.
Yeah.
You see that one?
Yeah, he had a touchdown. Yeah, he had a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, and Kyler did not look good in that game.
He's hurt, man. He's really, he's going to play through this ankle injury, but man, he's hurt.
A Cardinals writer actually basically called out Edwin. He was like, "Oh, this aged well," when when Kyler had put up good numbers, but we saw it with Baker. Baker's played a couple of good games, with the injury, and then a couple of bad, and now Kyler also picked up the ankle.
If you, I know it's really hard to trade quarterbacks in season-long leagues, but if you want to trade Kyler, this is the time, man. He is not running like he did last year, and I ain't going to change anytime soon with this ankle injury.
He's just a decent fantasy quarterback, and maybe I'm underselling it, but
No, you're right. I mean, QB 22, QB 4, QB 9, and QB 29 over the last 4 games, and that's because he's not running.
I mean, historically, when he's healthy, he's arguably the QB 1, and then when he's hurt, he's QB 10.
Yeah, he's and he's always hurt.
Right? Yeah.
So I mean,
I've got him at QB 9 right now for the record.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
that's probably about right. I mean, they could probably put up points in this game, but Eli Mitchell, John, has a rib injury. Doesn't look like Wilson's going to play this week, but I didn't even know it was possible to bury Trey Sermon even farther. But Jeff Wilson coming back will do that.
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on, Ertz got a big roll bump this past week. He was at 70% of the routes, and I think that's only going to turn out. They're basically playing him at slot. They're moving him all over the place, but he's playing a ton of slot. So when they go into their 4 wide stuff, I think we're going to see a lot of Ertz on the inside there.
Your stat pack is great for that shit, Graham.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I use that. I
lift from that all the time, by the way.
That's what it's there for.
Copy and paste.
I use that for the vantage points. I use Scott's XFP. It's just like the vantage points for the game hubs. What I really wanted that to do was to be kind of a little news hub, and also just like make sure when our staff is on the same page on a player, I highlight that, and it's really
I like it. I mean, again, I don't know how many people have that much time to read through it all, but it's very good.
That was always my issue with it. Is like, are we putting too much time into it? Just because nobody has time to read it all.
I personally think you could probably pull back a C hair, but that's just me.
All right. Well, we'll see. The Titans and the Rams. Tom and I were talking about this, John, and I think it's obvious that Peterson's going to be the big fab guy. But there's got to be a legitimate chance, if not a good chance, McNichols outscores him rest of the season. I mean, just in terms of like
I don't know, man. Gibson
McKissick thing. I mean,
I haven't done waivers in a single league, so I am really excited and hoping Adrian Peterson smashes in this Derrick Henry role. But I think you're right.
Done waivers in any of your leagues?
I mean, I'm just so shitty with it during the season. I have too much work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, so I always forget.
Are you getting dusted, Scott?
No, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. I actually picked up I did it the first few weeks, so I have a bunch of Cordarrelle Patterson and guys like that.
Yeah, I've actually had a really good year. I'm pretty good in all my leagues, but I'm with you on the waiver wire shit.
I would love if we could make some sort of I don't know, token rule across the industry that Tuesday waivers don't need to be a thing. We can run waivers on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
there's no point in running everything on Tuesdays.
The Yahoo kills me because Tuesday's my bad night, and I can't tell you how many times I'm getting ready to go to bed at 3 a.m. I'm like, oh shit, the day waivers.
A lot of my higher stakes leagues run on Wednesdays, which is great. But a lot of casual leagues run on Tuesdays. Still,
I will say, I was chatting with Kaplan today. I was on a plane, and he talked to someone there in Tennessee who said Peterson's workout was good.
Yeah.
And, double-digit carries this week.
So, really?
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, it's just like Greg always says. Every time there's an injury, Greg is always like, they're not going to change what they do. I feel like they're going to try and just fucking put Peterson in the Henry role.
No, I don't think they're going to do. I don't think they can possibly do that, John. But they're going to run the offense.
Right. I mean, he's not going to get 29 carries, but he'll get. If they he'll get 18.
My theory is the Titans are going to go, especially this week against this Rams team. I think they're going to go pass heavy, and I think we're going to see McNichols catch 5, 6, 7 balls, just as an extension of our game.
We'll see. I mean,
John, Derrick Henry is a one-of-one player. You can't just give somebody 18 carries and expect.
I mean, Peterson 10 years ago you could.
but I know he's 36 years old. But if there's any dude in the freaking world who could do it, it's the guy they got.
Yeah,
he's 36.
I know, but Joe, I mean, you were giving up on him 2 years ago, and he was good.
I was.
I get it.
Here's the other thing for Peterson, and I'm just going to leave it here. Is even if he hasn't been great for fantasy in years, because he's so limited in the passing game. So I think 40% of Derrick Henry is still a useful fantasy player. That's 11 fantasy points a game. But
what if they view their entire passing offense as working off play action off the run, and they'll want to change that?
John, Cosell's been saying this for years. I mean, you don't have to have a good running game to have a good play action game. You're just trying to get the linebackers to bite.
Well, that's the key to it, I think. But those A.J. Brown in-breaking routes are caused by the linebackers creeping downhill to try and gear up to stop Henry.
Yeah. So at this point, they have to get Julio healthy just to have a second guy.
I'm assuming he's dead. If Julio's there, then that's a different story. But he's. Yeah,
I'm right there with you, John. I think Julio's on the cusp.
I think he's dead. Yeah.
I think he's right.
The Rams are the Rams at this point, except.
And by the way, not for nothing, we freaking buried Julio this year.
We did.
We
I didn't draft John. I might have drafted him once or twice in a best ball. That's it.
I have no Julio whatsoever.
Yeah.
The Rams are the Rams. No Deshaun, so it's that 3-man rotation. Higbee is dead. Despite
I give up, man. I freaking give up on Tyler Higbee.
That guy, he runs what's the term? He's getting exercise out there, Tom.
He's on the treadmill.
Yeah, no, he's just he's running a million routes and not doing anything with it.
Oh, he had an on-field workout during the game.
Running routes.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's the Rich Rebar line. He's out there getting his cardio in. I think he started with Chris Hogan.
He hasn't had 10 or more fantasy points in a game since week 3.
I give up, man.
I know the usage is there, but it's just Stafford is so singularly focused on Kupp and Woods at this point that it's
over. He is the most frustrating tight end I can remember in a long time, man. Maybe Jared Cook, the first 8 years of Jared Cook.
Oh yeah, and then Jermichael Finley.
Well, I mean, he was frustrating because of injuries. At least his injuries, I can take that.
Yeah, Higbee. I mean, the usage is still there. It's just it feels like if you have him on a team, you're just oh god, do I really got to start him again?
It's like if Stafford was a fantasy fanatic and had Higbee be the tight end 3 on the season, for sure. If they really made an effort to get him the ball, he'd be great, but they don't.
And John, what's that? It's Kupp and Woods, and he's throwing to the perimeter. I mean, Stafford threw 32 passes, and 24 of them went to Kupp, Woods, and Jefferson.
I don't. Guys, Scott.
Yeah.
So Cooper Kupp actually had a bottom 3 matchup this past week. But he has the number 1 matchup this week. Titans are giving up the most fantasy points per game to slot wide receivers.
Oh, my God.
JM brought up something interesting on the podcast. So we already know the bromance is unreal between Cooper Kuppatron and Matthew Stafford. And you have to wonder at this point, don't you think they'd think it was cool if Kupp broke the touchdown record or the receiving yardage record? And that might be something they have in mind.
They are so freaking good right now, Scott, that you're totally on, man. That they're gonna try to make this a storybook season. They've traded for Von Miller. I mean, this,
right.
I mean, look at it. Let's try to look at this objectively. This is the best team in football, right?
Yes.
I mean,
the Rams.
The Rams.
I go Bills, but
so they're far and away leading all teams in points per drive, nearly 3 points per drive, which is ridiculous. And then look at their defense. They have 3 of the best defensive players overall. Good coaches. The mind meld between Stafford and Kupp is so I imagine they finish each other's sentences and just because the ball placement is right when Kupp gets out of his break. It's like they played together for years. It's crazy.
It's indefensible is what it is.
It is when you're on that level.
And
100%.
Scott, I know you're a big receipts guy, and so is Graham. Go back and just do a little Twitter search for better than Goff. And the people who were saying in January, Stafford's not much better than Goff. These fucking delusional people. I'm loving watching Stafford whip it out here, man. And this was, John, you called it too. This was so easy to call. Stafford just coming out and looking like a man on fire.
I don't know how many times Greg said it, but he said it many times. Every time his name was brought up, his MVP odds are too low. And he was 5th in MVP odds. And
fucking Cosell's saying that. Who's never laid a wager in his life. I mean,
and even Kaplan was saying 40 touchdowns. I was with him. I was like, yeah.
Is he the MVP favorite or is Josh Allen right now?
I mean, I would go Stafford.
Yeah, but I think the betting favorite is Allen.
Right.
Allen's the favorite. It's tight. It's 450.
The Bills' offense has been a little disjointed. It has been.
I mean, Diggs is not being the Diggs of last year at all. Not even close.
I kind of saw that coming. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I consciously had him 5, 6, 7 spots below his ADP. I knew that shit was coming.
Yeah, I think of Malcolm Gladwell's blink all the time when I think of you as an analyst because you are so good with gut instinctual calls. You are you were right more often than not. And, you just need to trust that because so many times this season, I just have a bad feeling about this guy and an inexplicable bust.
Yeah, I mean, it's good on the radio because I say this shit on the radio all the time, and it just looks good. I said a million times the Chiefs bad vibe, and also the Titans. I was like, no, I was like Julio is going to die, and then Henry's going to maybe left hung out to dry, and it's bad. Even on the end of the show last week. They said, "What's your big takeaway?" I said, "My big takeaway is the Titans are in huge trouble with Derrick Henry." And we're like, "You're crazy." I'm like,
fantasy leagues are wide open right now. Yeah. Derrick Henry was far and away the most valuable player in fantasy. I mean, Cup number 2, but something like 95% of the top 100 FFPC teams had Derrick Henry, and now he's gone. So it's like, who steps up? Probably just Cup teams continue to smash, or maybe McCaffrey.
I have a team that's 24th in the NFFC cut line because I have a Stafford Cup stack, and I haven't even had McCaffrey for the past 6 weeks.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, but I mean, listen to the running backs that I've had here. So losing McCaffrey has coincided though with me getting a lot of run out of Devontae Booker, so I've kind of gotten lucky in that regard. But I have Henderson and Damian Harris as well, and I should get McCaffrey back this week or next. So, and I mean, I haven't even gotten jack shit out of Darren Waller. Like Dan Arnold is carrying me there. So this team's got a chance to make some fucking noise, even though I have Ridley too, which hurts.
Oh man, well that's the problem with these things. Like one bad injury or departure, and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, but I have Amari Cooper Kupp, I have Cooks. I just got Judy back, so I have that.
I have that on a lot of teams.
Yeah, Stafford, but I also have Hurts. So like that's been good.
I have like Hurts on every team but 2.
Yeah, I'm worried about him getting benched. Like they've got.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, one more game. It's Monday. And that's the Bears and the Steelers. John, I thought it was funny. Tom and I were talking about this. It's like, you look at the people just flipping their shit about Justin Fields, and he did look better. But then you look at the box score, and he throws for 175 with a touchdown and a pick.
Yeah, but you know me with the body language. I don't tweet a lot during the games, but I tweeted at like 1:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
I'm like, Justin Fields looks like a different guy out there. And
he did.
Lo and behold, ran for 100. I mean, he was
because Nagy was out.
What's that?
It's because Nagy was out.
The bad body language will be back this week with Nagy back.
Yeah. But there's no doubt that Darnell freaking Mooney is his go-to guy. I mean, no doubt about it.
I mean, I wanted to see A-Rob moved so bad today, but it was not to be.
I read off his PPR stat line on the air the other day because I have him in the freaking ACI. And it's just like, I did it real dramatically. When you hear it, it's just like, oh my God, 4.7, 9.3, 7.2, 9.3, 3.6, 5.1. Like that's impossible.
That's
so impossible. Anyway, they got the Lions coming up.
Not going to get much better this week either.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's not going to get much better this week. This game's like already at like 40 points.
Yeah.
Total.
I wonder if they could. I haven't seen where Robinson's lining up. I wonder if they could help him out, put him in a slot more. I don't know.
Yeah, let me check on that.
I bet she's been in the slot 35% of the time.
Let's see here. Allen Robbins.
Because that was the talk they were going to do that this year.
He was in the slot on 39% of his snaps this week. He was in the slot on the last 3 weeks, as a matter of fact, close to half the time.
Okay, so they're already doing that.
Yeah. So
damn.
So they are already doing that. Pittsburgh's like a 2-man team right now. Well, I will say this, Freiermuth, man, I picked him up and started him, and that was a good call.
Oh yeah.
And Deontay, I mean, it's just the problem for Claypool is Ben's not very good anymore, and Ben loves Deontay.
Yeah, maybe Claypool can start catching like 6 balls every week for like 66, 70 yards. I'd take it.
But Najee Harris is a bull.
Yep.
He's a bull. I mean,
you know, that's what I said all year, all summer on Najee. Like I'm like, I get it. I remember everybody in the fantasy business drooled over not Rex Burkhead, Jesus, Toby Gerhart. Remember that year? Because he was going to go all that volume. I'm like, hey guys, volume is great, but if you stink, you stink. But when you get volume and you're really talented like Harris, I don't care that the O-line's not good.
Here's my question to you guys. How many running backs would you take rest of the season over Harris right now?
Like 3.
I'm struggling to come up with like more than one. I mean, who would you take over him right now? I mean,
Taylor? I would take Taylor. I'd probably still take
Taylor's a good one. I'd probably
still
tomorrow.
Aaron Jones.
Here's my question. Here's my thing. I have more questions about all of those guys than I have about Najee Harris right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean,
if Taysom Hill's the quarterback, is Kamara going to get targets? They have Mark Ingram now.
Right.
I mean, Taylor has got Frank Reich calling 60 passes to 4 runs.
I have Harris tied for 4th with Eckler right now in the season projections.
And Eckler, I think Eckler is one of the ones I feel good about, by the way. But, I mean, I think you can make a legitimate argument Najee Harris is RB1 rest of season.
I mean,
he's on pace for 311 carries and 119 targets.
Damn.
There's only been 5 other seasons with 300 plus carries, 100 plus targets. LaDainian, Marshall Faulk, Steven Jackson, Le'Veon Bell. So it's really insane usage. And then look at Deontay Johnson, 20 games with Big Ben under center. If you just strip away 4 of those games for injuries and then the one game he got benched for drops, double-digit targets in 16 of 17 games. He's just a freak. Those PPRs, man. The offense could be garbage, and it doesn't matter.
Tom, I know you and I each drafted Najee in one of our last 2 season-long leagues. I got him before you picked Kelsey in the Collegiate League, and then you took him in, I think, in your final league because we were like, I need more Najee, and
you got him, and I was like, all right, I'll get Najee in one of my other leagues.
And then it just turned out the simple answer was we should have been drafting him in the first round all along because the talent and the usage and the way the coaches and the way Tomlin works there indicated that. That's the thing about Pittsburgh. It's easy.
That's the other thing.
Yeah,
Tomlin uses one guy.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh is a team that they kind of tell you what they're going to do. They took Najee in the first round; they were going to use him.
Yeah.
But he's been a freaking bull. Anyway,
think about Deontay real quick though. Sure. I liked him his rookie year. I was talking him up, and then I didn't even know you guys liked him that year, and then we were all together on him. And I still could not have envisioned his usage to be this good before we broke out. And we all loved him. I mean, it's still wow, man. It's pinch me or something. Geez.
So I own Deontay in nearly every dynasty league, and I was talking to my dynasty partner TJ Calkins, who's maybe the best dynasty player ever. And I was asking him could Deontay be a sell high just because Big Ben's probably gone? And he said no. He was I think Deontay Johnson is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. No one gets open like him. And so another quarterback comes in, he's still going to smash. And if that guy's an improvement on a cooked Ben Roethlisberger, he might be, an easy, basically Devontae Adams, who he's been the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, he's a quarterback's friend. Yeah.
All right, boys, let's call it. Thank you for joining us for this projection show. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you are not a subscriber, you see the code down at the bottom, mid-season 10 for 10 extra % off on already half off for the rest of the season. You will be really glad you did. We do this every Tuesday night with our staff, just kind of a bullshit session. And now what I know I'm going to do is I'm going to go maybe relax on the couch here and start texting Tom and Graham. We share a primetime team. We're going to probably work on waivers, and that we're in first place, by the way,
nice.
in that league.
34th overall, baby.
Well, yeah, we're top 25 overall. Yeah,
34th, I think.
Oh yeah, okay. Hey, whatever. I mean, it's obviously a good. It's obviously a
25,
good situation.
And for any new viewer, this is the very beginning of the process. By the way, where all of us
we're going to change everything. It's just to lay the foundation, right? I mean, that's what. it is.
I'm totally digging into things like through Friday, making tweaks. Like it's kind of crazy. I spend so much time doing tweaks that no one notices. It's ridiculous, but what are you going to do?
Hey, I mean, yeah, it's all part of the plan, as they say. For Tom Brawley, at Tom Brawley on Twitter. For John Hansen, at fantasy_guru on Twitter. For Scott Barrett, at Scott Barrett DFB. I'm Joe Dolan, at FG_Dolan. We said goodbye to Graham. Graham had to go do something. I forget what. He's at Graham Barfield on Twitter. The website is at FantasyPTS. You can come see us at fantasypoints.com. If you want information on our live shows, go to Fantasy PTS Live on Twitter. Thank y'all for joining us here on YouTube. It's been fantastic. Really enjoyed the show. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and we will talk to you guys next week.